great.
Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back with episodes 10 through 12, recap of Survivor Panama. The beginning of the end, I guess you could say, for the Casaya 6, when they have to eat their own. This season, it actually worked out perfectly. I was thinking about this. Guatemala didn't work out this nicely, but this one worked out perfectly, where the first 3 episodes were whatever. The second 3 episodes led us right into the merge. The next group of 3 episodes led us right through the pagonging sort of Lamina. The next 3 episodes are the 3 Casaya members having to go. And then our last 3 episodes actually work out where it's Final 4, finale, and reunion. This actually worked out perfect.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Phil and I actually produced Survivor Panama back in 2006, just so that when we would podcast about it 12 years later, we would have it in this perfect schedule. So good job, Phil. Good on us.
It's time travel. People wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Shane typing away on his BlackBerry. People just don't understand it. It's real. It's possible. You just don't understand it.
Man, that face and that screen grab is what's going to be the title card for this podcast. He looked deranged, happy. He looked like what I look like after a really long day of work, but he was happy about it.
Yeah, he's terrifying looking. I mean, he that's like the thing with Shane, though. The entire time, he looks crazy when he's going crazy. Like, you know when he's losing it because he looks like he's losing it. Nobody keeps it as unhidden as him. Like, he just constantly, the way he walks and holds his body and the way his eyes start going and his hair, it's crazy.
Yeah, I actually, as much as I'd love to have Shane on the podcast, I would love to have Shane's business partner, who he's referenced a few times on this podcast, just to know what Shane is like to work with. I bet he's super productive. He's just that guy who sends you like 7 million emails in 20 minutes and then disappears for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. No, I could totally see that. He seems like he's got to be moving at all times, and he doesn't have time to wait on anybody else. These 3 episodes, I think this is like one of the better stretches of 3 episodes that Survivor ever had, because, and I'm looking at this as somebody who knows how it ends, and somebody also, if you're just watching this for the first time, this whole storyline of Lamina is gone. It's Terry versus the Casaya 6. And now you're finally starting to see just how much the Casaya 6 have nothing in common and literally are just dealing with each other to deal with each other. Even the Bruce medevac, as much as it sucks that Bruce gets medevaced, that whole challenge where they chop Terry and then everybody's chopping each other, leading up to Sari picking Danielle and Aris, which drives Shane absolutely nuts. Shane's acting like a child back at camp. Bruce gets medevaced when nobody else is even there. And then at Final 6, everything that's going on with Courtney, Danielle, Shane, Terry, it's absolutely crazy. And then Final 5, it all leads to Shane being absolutely blindsided. And it's like these 3 episodes is when you wish that you would have had more than just Terry, I feel like, so that at least you had some other rooting interest where it's like, oh, it won't just be one person that is taking down this whole alliance. It'd be nice to see something else going on. But every time there's hope, everything falls apart. And I think everybody makes the wrong move in these episodes, and I'll talk about that. But I really think every vote was wrong in these episodes. And we can talk about that in a bit.
So, like you said, these 3 episodes are probably why I like Panama so much. Like I've been saying since we've been watching Panama, this is a group that isn't like, it's not your South Pacific type group. It's not your Redemption Island type group, because they at least kind of like each other, if not do a very good job of pretending that they like each other. This Casaya group has always hated each other, and you have to give them credit that for a group of people who have absolutely nothing in common and absolutely hate each other, they stick together until they absolutely have to go away. So that's what I'll give them. But then at the same time, because you have people who've been plotting against each other this whole time, you get a lot of really insane moves, like Sari orchestrating Courtney going home and Shane going home for kind of a reason that just like happened really quickly. And I'm looking back on this thinking, okay, I remember not loving Terry, but in this period of time, I think he's great, because honestly, I think it's because I'm just watching Terry absolutely wipe the floor during the challenges, and that's it. I'm not watching him try to play a social game, because right now he's letting them all spontaneously combust and is just winning immunities, winning rewards, winning cars, and that's a Terry I like to watch.
Yeah, and this is where I don't understand. I know you said like you weren't really a big fan of Terry, at least watching this the first time. I know you've changed a bit on him now, but I never understand really the hate he gets, because I know the next episode when Sari blows up at him is like, why don't you start talking to people the way you want to be talked to? Which, granted, when we get to that episode, we'll actually talk about that. He does get out of line with somebody like Sari, who's never been mean to Terry. But a lot of these people have treated Terry like shit since he walked onto that beach. And really, I don't think he's been that bad back to them. Even when he's at that challenge where he gets chopped out and he's sitting over there and R's like, guys, keep it together. This is meant to splinter us. And Terry goes, yeah, guys, it's just meant to splinter you. Like, I have no problem with.
Oh, I thought that was funny. I have no problem. I have no problem with that.
So where does everybody's problem with Terry come in? Because he hasn't done anything yet that makes me go, oh my God, what a jerk.
I think it's. I mean, I kind of want to like get to the end, and I can't speak for everyone, but I can't think about like how I viewed him when I was watching it like 12 years ago at this point. Wow, that's insane.
Like 10 or 11. Like, it doesn't matter that much.
I was what?
You were like also 10 or 11 years old, so it doesn't matter what your opinion was.
Yeah, but like, but I still don't like. I like him, but I think I really like Aris, and I really liked Aris then. So obviously, when it's Aris versus Terry, like I'm gonna go on the side of the person I like more. Though now rewatching this, Aris and Terry have more respect for each other than we talk about. Like, there's a lot of fist bumping, there's a lot of back and forth, and I think you don't really notice that unless you're really looking for it. So I think that's helped too. I think I guess I just like I like when people are good sportsmen, and whether it's like
when they have good sportsmanship.
When I am a good sportsmanship.
There you go.
Yeah, we've come full circle. But I don't know. I mean, no matter who the player is, I don't love like a loud win at the end. I don't like, but that's just who I am as a person. Like, I don't love like a big showy thing. So that's just not like, that's one of the reasons why I couldn't really get behind him. And also he's like, I know that Casaya is cocky, and I'm extremely aware of that, but Terry in previous episodes like has been cocky, and they both have, so it's bothered me on both ends, but I just don't like cockiness in a person. So when anyone expresses that, I'm not going to love it.
And I think somebody like Terry, when Terry ends up getting voted out, and when Terry doesn't win this game, he still votes for Aris, who he respects the most, who he thinks played the best game. Terry has so much respect for these people. I don't actually think he's a super cocky guy. I think that he's just a super confident guy, and I feel like he's trying to play mind games with them because he can't play the social game with them. So all he can really play is mind games and the physical game. And if he's winning at the physical game, he can keep saying to them, guys, I'm never gonna lose. Like, that's his only move at that point, because he's trying to get in their heads and be like, guys, if you don't change this up, you're screwed because I'm never gonna lose. And I texted you about this. At this point in the game, every single person on the jury would have voted for Terry out of all the people remaining.
Which is pretty awesome, because this whole 3-episode span is people making deals with Terry because they think he's not going to win.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. Because he has two, like, let's say he's pissed off Casaya so much that no one's going to vote for him. You still have 2 absolutely guaranteed non-movable votes on the jury. And if I'm going into the final 3, and if I have 2 guaranteed lockdown votes, that's huge.
Yeah, you only need 2 more. It's 7 people on that jury. You need 2 more. If Terry sits down next to Aris, Bruce is going to vote for Terry because they talk about how much respect he has for him the entire time. I think Shane sits down or gets up and stands in front of everybody and says that you voted out the person who deserved to win yesterday, which is Terry. You have the only one who would not have voted for Terry had they gotten to this, final 2 and they weren't in the final 2. The only person who never would have voted for Terry would have been Sari, which is fine. Terry doesn't need Sari's vote. And if Terry sits down next to Sari, Terry ends up winning the game over Sari, because I think everybody looks at the physical game more than they actually look at Sari's game, which is much more subtle this season than it is in other seasons. Nobody's really looking at that 3-2-1 vote as like, oh my God, Sari is so good. I think people took it for granted how great of a move that is for Sari and how stupid of a move that is for Danielle. That's when Danielle lost the game. Right there, Danielle lost the game. She would have been your winner of Survivor Panama had Danielle voted off Aris right there.
And that's what's so crazy about this version of Sari, because it's weird watching her after knowing how well she's done. But you watch her like orchestrate this in like a matter of 5 minutes, which obviously doesn't happen. But it's still pretty impressive given that she's overall pretty low on that totem pole, though we're not really seeing her really close relationship with Aris as we learn that they have eventually. But she's able to convince these people the morning after that it was a miscommunication because she couldn't walk 20 feet to go tell Shane what the plan was. That never would fly in this Survivor. And good on her for being an opportunist. That is, I mean, we'll talk more in depth about that, or we can just start doing that now. But that's one of the best moves in Survivor history. Yeah,
what I want to talk about here is first you have at Final 7, Bruce ends up getting medevaced, but at that challenge, everybody's cards were shown. Mm-hmm. It's Terry first, obviously. I mean, Terry even says it was a joke for me to even go and stand there. It was a waste of my time. Then Bruce is clearly next. Then it's Courtney, and Courtney is also the answer to every trivia question. Like,
did you write down what she was? I think I can remember.
She was most annoying. She was like biggest poser, which was great when Shane thought he was him. Like, he even held up the own vote.
Biggest poser is the only one that didn't make sense to me for Courtney. I obviously don't know her personally, but it felt to me like she was like exceptionally herself.
No, you know what the problem is and why people will call her a poser? It was probably between her and Aris. Nobody's going to call Sari a poser. Nobody's really going to call Shane a poser because everybody knows exactly where Shane's at, which is why it's so funny for Shane to think that he's the biggest poser. The problem with Courtney is she's sewing your face with the, oh my God, the island, oh my God. And it doesn't come across as authentic as Bruce, who like is seriously like, guys, I'm building a Zen garden because this means more to me than building a fire. Whereas Courtney's like, oh, I'm going to go stretch because I love stretching. And it's like,
but I'm going to stretch in his rock garden.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're so Zen and all of that. And then you're going to go and kind of like walk all over what this guy put so much effort into. Like, you don't have any respect for that. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, that's true. I love the challenge. That is a challenge I really, really miss because you want to talk about mixing up the game. Tell everyone how they think about each other. That's going to screw everyone up.
Yeah, and they should do it. They should do it for rewards every time. They stopped doing it because it was for immunities a lot, but they.
Yeah, that should never be for immunity. No. But what's so great is that Sari was the one standing next to Courtney, and Courtney's like, man, you're watching like a middle schooler getting pushed against a locker right now, and her mom is like pointing and laughing at her. Mm-hmm. Like, Sari can't even hold it in how hard she's laughing.
No, Sari's dying the whole time, and that's what's great. Like, this is just pure, authentic Sari, just dying laughing because Courtney and Shane are getting so frustrated and so mad, and Sari cannot stop. And even when Sari picks Aris and Danielle, and Shane is so angry, as soon as she gets to her little reward, she's dying laughing again. Like, she doesn't care. Like, and that's how you have to be with these crazies. You just have to hope that when you vote them out, they still vote for you anyway, which wouldn't have been the case because they all are super bitter at the people who booted them because they felt like they were all going to the final 3. I mean, Shane really thought it was Aris, him, Courtney, and Sari going to final 4. And then to find out it goes Courtney, then him. I mean, he was never going to vote for them unless he had to, which he does at the end. So you just have to kind of laugh it off because you don't have a choice.
No, it's hilarious. I love it. And one other thing I wrote down. This is something that Kim did in One World, and I'm pretty confident this is why Aris did it. The last one was between Aris and Sari, and it was who is least likely to survive on their own. Sari votes for herself, and Aris votes for Terry.
Which is so funny.
But I love that. I mean, he was like really, really shooting his shot on that. But that's a really good move in saying like, look, I don't know everything. Like, look at me. I think Captain America can't survive on his own, even though he's already done that. Like, I like that move. I think that's a smart move. And I think that really works well with this group that probably isn't thinking that many steps ahead the way that he is.
But who also, wasn't the answer Courtney? The answer was Courtney, right?
Oh, it was because Sari was wrong. You're right.
Yeah.
Which is funny that Sari voted for herself.
No, because she got it right on that one. Whoever Sari put, that was the end of the game. Because as Aris was walking off, Terry goes, "Did you do that on purpose, Aris?"
Yeah. No, then it was Sari because Sari voted for herself.
Okay, well, whatever. I'm sure that Aris knew the answer, but I think that this is Aris also taking a little bit of a shot at Terry going, Sari's going to get this right. screw it. Like, I'm not going to win this reward anyway. Let me take a little shot at Terry because I can. And this is what I loved about Terry and Aris throughout. They always took the shots at each other whenever they had the opportunity, which I'm all for, because it didn't get to the point of like Bobby John versus Jamie where you're like, what is wrong with these people? It's these little shots throughout. Like, even Terry coming back and explaining why he doesn't take Aris's mom. It's Terry taking a shot at Aris and trying to rile him up, and it actually works, which is really crazy, but I actually think this works. And this is what I was talking to you about earlier. Aris can't help himself sometimes. And
I mean, if someone said that to me, I'd be pretty pissed. Like, it worked. And I mean, Aris even said that it worked in his confessional. He was like, I'm riled up.
But that's the thing. Terry looks like an ass saying this. Let him look like an ass. You have to walk away here. And by him getting heated at him and everybody's sitting there, it's like, you don't have to. Stop. Like, you don't need to. Everybody knows Terry's the bad guy for this. Don't do it.
But the thing is, like, he's naturally going to get heated, and whether he's heated or not heated, Terry's still going to look like an ass. So I don't see an issue.
But it makes Aris look unstable, like, in that moment. There's no reason for it.
I don't think so, because he made it, like, what? No, I don't think it does, because what the context was something, like, personal enough when you're 30, however many days in, that, like, any person who would have a natural reaction, like that reaction would be angry. And also, in the grand scheme of insanity, Aris being pissed that Terry thinks his mom isn't worth it is the biggest problem on this island right now. But
the thing is, okay, but there's that, and there's also the fact of Aris just needed, like, this works. I mean, it doesn't end up hurting Aris in the end, but Aris just needs to let those types of things go. And I texted you about this too. His blood versus water game is so much more mature than his Panama game. It's so much more thought out. It's so much smarter. He's thinking ahead. I know he has this Laura Bonham moment where he says, I wish we had your husband right now. But, like, he's still always so far ahead of himself in that one. Whereas this one, he's young. He's thinking in the moment. He's not letting it roll off. And it's amazing that which game does he win? He wins the one where he can go out and he can be like, oh, Terry, you know what? Screw you for thinking my mom is less important than somebody's husband or son. You're a dick. I hate you. He can say that to this guy and still win that season. You do that in something like Blood versus Water where it's different.
But I think if he says that in Blood versus Water, people aren't going to hate him for that. What I'm saying is he's like, his reaction is perfectly valid. And the reason I don't feel the need to justify it so much is because Aris does end up winning. Like, no one cares that he got in that argument with Terry.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, all I'm saying is there's no reason for him to get in that argument with Terry. And I think
other than the fact that it's like a natural reaction with someone that you.
Yeah, but okay, so if every natural reaction that somebody would do in Survivor, nobody, like, every time that happens, people lose. So, like, when Abby Maria has her natural reaction to get mad at somebody, that's cool. Like, we're cool with that.
Yeah, but Abby is, like, completely different from Aris.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, no matter who you are in the game of Survivor, you're supposed to let these things roll. That's what I'm saying. Like, you let those things go.
I don't think
when somebody's clearly antagonizing you, you just let them go.
But in this specific situation, like, you can't apply the situation to all 34 seasons of Survivor. This is one situation.
Which is why I just compared it to Blood versus Water and said that it was different because he played more mature there and loses.
I truly believe if this exact conversation happened in Blood versus Water, Terry would still look like the asshole.
He would, but
and no one would care about what Aris said.
How many times do you hear people say, Aris, just keep your, like, how many times do you hear people say in confessionals about anybody when this happens, like, why are you arguing with him? He's doing it on purpose. That's this move by Terry. It's a desperation move.
But on his tribe, there's no problem with him doing that because the rest of his tribe is such a freaking mess.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so within this moment, that's why I don't think it's an issue.
Well, it doesn't end up being an issue. I'm just saying these are the things that Aris, this is why, my ultimate point was going to be, this is why I hate ranking winners and hate ranking players. Because Aris
I can agree on that.
But what I'm going to say is, Aris, I actually think, plays a better, I'm putting air quotes, I know you're not looking at me, but better Survivor game in Blood versus Water than he does in Panama, because he does more things right in Blood versus Water than he does in Panama. He does a lot of things that winners don't do that gets people booted in Panama. But because of who he's playing with, it's enough to win the game, and that's why ranking people is just the stupidest thing ever. because Aris went. I'm sure Aris would rather play the game he played in Panama than the game he played in Blood versus Water, even if the Blood versus Water game would technically be a better game.
Yeah, so I agree with every single part of that. I just don't think that this situation is included in it. I agree that we shouldn't rank winners, and everyone asks us to do it. Stop asking us because we're not going to do it.
Yeah. Another thing, though, is like Aris Blood versus Water wouldn't do this, I don't think. I really don't. I think he would be like, I got to walk away. I got to get out of here. I can't have this moment right now. And that's kind of what I'm saying is like, this is one of those where like Aris matured, got smarter, lost the game, and got like 12th place or 10th place or whatever it was. Aris, young, dumb, can't keep his mouth shut sometimes, goes on and wins the million.
Becomes a millionaire.
There you go. I mean, it just depends on the psychos you're with. But
yeah, life works in funny ways.
To keep on this thing, since we're talking about the family visit now, I know we skipped Final 6, but we'll obviously go back to it. But to keep on Final 5, the way Terry did this by winning is 100% how I would have done this. 100, no doubt in my mind, that is exactly how I would. You have to give Shane the best because that guy needs his son more than anybody else needs anything. You have to. I would definitely give Suri her husband, who she has 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever it is. I would give her husband, at least some sort of whatever with her husband. Give Aris the hug and say, Danielle, you blew it last time. You also lost yourself $1 million. And you blew it last time. Screw you, you get nothing. And that's exactly how I would have done it because everything was justified. But for Terry to come back and try to justify it was just totally unnecessary.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm perfectly cool with however he did it. It's just like, here's my move. This is how I'm going to explain it. And when you explain it, again, the family visit is such I don't like to use irrational, but I mean irrational in the sense of people aren't thinking with logic, they're thinking with their hearts, that no matter any sentence that comes out is going to bother someone. So Terry made all the right moves. He just shouldn't have talked, which I guess is Terry post-merge in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, exactly. and actually, I will say, I think his pitch at Final 6, when him, Courtney, and Danielle win, is the best pitch Terry made in the game. And I actually think this showed as much of a social game as he could play on this season. And it should have worked, but Danielle made the worst move of this season. It's the worst move 1,000 times over of this season because she knows she's not going to beat Aris. She knows she's not going to beat Suri. She knows she'll beat Shane. So Shane is like a non-entity at this point. She knows that, or she thinks that she can beat Terry, and she knows she can beat Courtney. You have a guaranteed spot in the final 3 with Terry and Courtney, 2 people you think you can beat, 1 you would beat in a landslide, and you decide to side with the 2 best players and most liked people in the game. What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
I don't think she's thinking. I think this is as much of a Danielle blunder as it is Suri being an opportunist. Because Suri, she's talking through, Suri's the anti-Terry. She's talking through her plans to us. And you're like, oh my God, everything she's saying is right. Suri knows she's a number 4. And she's telling Danielle, of course Terry wants to bring you because he can beat you and Courtney in that final challenge. And to have that honor code of whoever gets second place, Terry's going to get first place. I think Danielle thought she could maybe beat him in the final immunity challenge, which now that I'm talking is extremely funny foreshadowing. But
I mean, she wins the final immunity challenge and Terry gets 3rd. That's her out.
Yeah, and that's what I know.
I think she ends up saying that at some point. But
so that's what brings this whole thing full circle. But I completely agree with you. That is a great move for all of them in their own minds. And then for Suri to be like, Danielle, can you just think for 1 second? And that's it. It's over.
This is Suri pretty much working her magic. I know that she's not the one who gets Eric to give up the necklace, but she's the one who convinces Natalie to go talk to Eric to give up the necklace.
Yeah, I think Suri deserves the credit for that.
Yeah, she's the one who masterminded that whole plan. She's the one who sat down on the beach and said, hey, guys, you think we can get him to give it up? And this is Suri doing the exact same thing here. It's crazy to think that going into that last immunity challenge, 1st and 2nd place would have been Courtney and Danielle, and they would have been our final 2 because Terry had no shot against either of them in that challenge. Couldn't beat Aris, and Aris didn't perform well. Courtney would have been 1,000 times better than Aris. They would have been the final 2. Danielle goes on to win $1 million. probably, I don't even know where I would rank her as a winner. Like probably one of the most bizarre wins of all time if Danielle wins the season. And it all happens right here. And it's a great move for Cirie. I think her move at Final 5 I disagree with. But it's a great move for Cirie because she knows she has to get to Final 5 and put herself in a position where she can say, okay, now I have Shane who I can beat. I have Danielle who I can beat. I have Terry who I think I can beat. I only have to get rid of Aris. That's it, but he's my closest ally. I'll just either hope that he takes me to the end at Final 2, or or somebody else will take me to the Final 2 thinking that I'm weaker and I'm going to end up winning this thing anyway.
And it's pretty convenient that Aris is this tight with Cirie during this span of episodes, because Aris, as he has made exceptionally clear at Tribal Council, he said it out loud, when Terry's got these immunities, how do you not get rid of Aris? I know that like Cirie's thing is getting rid of the goat, and it kind of works, assuming she would get to the end, but she never has. But whatever. That's a genius move, getting rid of the person that everyone wants to get rid of. Awesome move. But you also, like the fact that the other challenge beast is still in the game, they're not thinking that far ahead, but at the same time, they do need him to get rid of Terry. So he's in such a precarious position, and it's really impressive that he lasts these three, especially that he survives the Shane one. The Courtney one, Courtney was going home. That Shane one, I'm surprised they didn't.
No. I think the Courtney one is even more shocking. Every time I watch the final 6, I go, how the hell does Aris stay and Courtney go? Because I cannot wrap my head around the fact that Danielle would ever vote for Courtney. It just makes no sense. This is the one time where Terry was right, Courtney was right, Shane was completely useless, and there is no reason this shouldn't have worked. It's just absolute insanity that Danielle writes down the name Courtney on that piece of paper. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's crazy.
It's just like, what are you thinking? I mean, and great for Cirie. I mean, it's probably one of the best moves. I mean, obviously getting the necklace to be given up is better, but this is one of the best moves because everybody needs to get rid of Aris at this point, except for Cirie. Because Cirie knows, I think in Cirie's head, she's thinking, Aris wins that last immunity, he's going to bring me because he thinks I'm a goat. He thinks he can drag me, and I can use this against everybody. And now she uses that vote, and she can turn around and say to everybody, that was me. And I think she has a great case when she gets down to Final 2 if she's against Aris. And I also think her goal was to get to Final 3 with Aris, because if Aris doesn't win the challenge, that person's going to say, I can't beat Aris, I can beat Cirie. So I think Cirie is the only one who actually needed Aris to stay in the game. And the fact that she's able to convince Danielle of the same is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, and there are so many layers as to why this is such a good move by Cirie. But like you said, Courtney's your number one goat. That has been made abundantly clear after she was voted the most annoying and whatever else. But for Cirie to say, okay, I'm going to be the number 2 goat. I'm going to get rid of the number 1 and become the goat. Like, that's so much self-awareness on her part, because no one's going to the Final 2 thinking, do you know, I want to be the person that people drag, because they'll never imagine it. Because the people who get dragged don't know that they're being dragged. Mm-hmm. So that's what's so insane about her move. The fact that she's more than okay with and is actively playing up the fact that she's quote unquote useless. That's what makes it so good. And it's a damn shame that she has not won this game.
Yeah, I mean, she could have easily pulled that move, get to the end and say, I made that move. All the old women didn't even make the merge. I got in with you guys. I navigated it. Nobody ever put a target on me the entire game. Like, she has so many arguments to make that it's great that she does this. I will forever never understand Danielle, though. I just can't do it. And then at Final 5, Terry obviously was in on the fact that, what do you call it? Who does Shane vote for? Danielle. He was in on the fact that Danielle does not go home, because that's why he threw his vote at Aris. He knew that Danielle wasn't going, so I think he just said, screw it, I don't care. He knew that Shane was done, although Shane, after he was told he was mistakenly thinking that he was in control of the game, he still goes and is super confident at the Tribal Council that he gets booted. This is where I think Cirie makes her mistake, because I honestly think that at this point, Shane would have taken Cirie to the end, And I think Terry probably would have taken Cirie to the end, thinking he can beat her. And those were the two who would win the challenges. Danielle obviously ends up winning that last challenge. I mean, nobody was expecting that. But, hey, Danielle probably would have taken Shane. She was never going to take Terry. I think she wised up to the fact that, oh, my God, Terry's not friends with her. So I think this is where Cirie makes her mistake, because by not getting rid of Aris here, now you've put yourself in a position where you're going into the next thing. Shane's gone. The only person you're close with is Aris. Danielle is not loyal to Cirie, and Terry has no allegiance to anybody. If you keep Shane, you have that three-person alliance still intact, and whether it be Shane, or it would be Shane, Aris, and what do you call it? I can't even think of the other person. It would be Shane, Aris, and Danielle. No, because Danielle would go. And so it would be Shane, Aris, and Cirie. That would be the three, which is a closer three because she probably can beat either anybody left in the game at that point. Even though she could beat anybody left at this point, by keeping Aris, I don't understand the point, because now he's put himself in a position where he can win.
But I think this relates back to a conversation we had 2 minutes ago. I think now that we're talking about it, Cirie should have gotten rid of Danielle, because Danielle is the only person, as we've just laid out, who wouldn't take Cirie to the final two. Like you just said,
well, that's
she should put Aris around, because Aris would take Cirie to the end. So why should she get rid of Aris?
That's right, because that's why I was confused while he was even saying it. Shane votes for Danielle, right?
Yes.
Yes. No, Cirie should have gotten rid of Danielle.
Yes. That's what I was
That's why, like, in my head, I'm like, she needs to get rid of Aris, but then at the same time, I'm like, Aris, Shane, and Cirie are the final. No, she needed to get rid of Danielle here, because by keeping Danielle in the game and getting rid of Shane, she just got rid of somebody she can easily beat at the end, who would also drag her to the end because he's so confident that he can beat her. Mm-hmm. So no matter what, out of those last four guys, or the three guys in Cirie, all of them think, I can beat Cirie. I might as well just take her to the end. And they're all thinking, at that point, everybody is literally thinking to themselves, I can beat anybody, except Shane probably is saying to himself, I can't beat Aris. That's really the only one. So at that point, Cirie moves up a peg. Whereas by keeping Danielle and getting rid of Shane, Danielle is just kind of like wherever, and Terry sits there and says, I can beat Danielle. I don't know if I'll beat, or Cirie's never going to keep me around. If I keep Danielle and Danielle wins in the final three, it's me and Danielle in the final two, great, which doesn't end up happening, but that's the kind of the deal that he makes. He would have never been able to make that with Shane, because Shane would have just been like, no, man, you're done. You're out of here. And then at the final four, Shane probably goes home because Aris and Cirie are so tight, and he's so oblivious to the fact that they want to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's it, for sure.
So,
yeah,
that's where I'm at. Also, Gio, dude, I don't know what's going on with you. Are you like trolling
you've been
us?
Super aggressive in.
Are you trolling us? I mean, you call that Alexa for
everything.
You're not using sportsmanship right. Like, did you watch our Judd interview? Did you watch Guatemala with us? I know you did. You know what we're doing. Like, I don't understand.
I pride myself on having half decent grammar. I feel silly saying that. I was making a joke.
I just don't get it. I mean, I'm so confused. Like, Gio's been a fan since day one. He's a day one bestie. All of a sudden, he gets second place in our Oregon. He thinks he's like, he can like just talk down to us all the time. I'm so confused. Yeah.
And also, where he says, how is that a mistake, Phil? You just called the move brilliant. We're talking about two different moves, and we're talking about two different people. Yeah. Most votes are really good for some people and not good for others. I feel silly having to say that.
Yeah, I'm very confused, and I look at the comments, and I'm like, man, I don't get it. I don't get. Maybe Will would put up with that type of stuff, and he would let you walk all over him. But
Phil and Alexa don't let anyone.
We don't do that. Maybe we need to bring Will back so that the fans can just like stomp all over him. You know,
stomp all over him.
Yeah, they need somebody to walk on, and he's a pushover, so that'd be easy.
Yeah, Phil and I have backbones.
And that's your 5-minute rant on why I hate Will. Moving on.
Boom. Well, since we're talking about a comment, do you want to move to comments? Should
we move to comments? Have we talked about pretty much everything?
We just crushed like about 35 minutes. The only thing I need to say, the Bruce medevac. Is that our first medevac since Scoop and Fell in the Fire?
Janu quit, right?
Yeah,
like
she quit.
At Tribal. Yeah, so yeah, this is the first medevac then.
This is your first medevac since a heartbreaking, like, country-shattering fall into a fire. And here we have, at midnight, or at God knows what hour, you have a naked Shane, a singing Courtney. And where is the medical team? Do they exist?
It took them forever to get there. No, I know.
It's just them, and they're dragging him. And I wrote down so many notes for this. First of all, one of the first thing, Bruce says he hasn't pooped in 10 to 12 days. That should have been a problem a while ago.
Yeah, that should have been a problem
10 to 12 days is
5 or 6.
a long time.
Yeah.
And then Courtney saying, I remember I was once so constipated, I thought I was having and then Danielle goes, child?
Yeah.
Like, this is a great 3-episode span for Danielle in terms of, like, funny stuff that she says. I thought that was great. Shane screaming at him, you got to get better because we need you. Everyone thinks that Shane might be the first person who's ever said it out loud. Courtney asked, are you getting better? His response, not really. No medical team to help with the stretcher. Shane complaining that he can't sleep.
There was one medical guy or 2 medical guys there, like, who came out on the boat and they were looking at him. But Shane and Courtney had to help, which is crazy because now, like, nowadays, like, there's so many medical people, like, they don't need to do that. Like, yeah, during the one where Caleb got medevac, everybody was all over the place and they didn't have enough people, so that makes sense. But like at this one, like, they didn't, like, it's crazy too. And Shane's like, wait, we need to go now? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, well, like, I'm naked. I can't put my pants on. They're wet.
It's like Bruce's appendix could explode, like, at any moment. Like, we need this to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what's so funny about it. Like, the music is so sad. Like, I remember always being really sad watching this, and I think it's because of the music. And it's the fact that it's Bruce and just, like, how his story has gone so far. And it's so funny because this is probably one of the sadder medevacs, but it's also hands down the funniest one.
Well, it's ridiculous, too, because if you think about how this one went down, Terry's on Exile Island. Aris, Suri, and Danielle are on a vacation.
Jeff is sleeping.
Shane is furious, yeah. And then you have Bruce get medevac, so only Courtney and Shane know, leaving just Courtney and Shane together. Now it's just the 2 of them on the island after a traumatic experience. Then the other 3 get back, and they're like, what's going on? Where's Bruce? Oh, he got medevac. Like, they don't know that he's actually out of the game. Terry comes in, has literally no idea. They don't even tell him, like, Bruce was sick. They're just like, hey, by the way. And, like, Terry's like, oh, this is good for my game. And I'm sitting there saying, Terry, Bruce was somebody on your side. Like, I get you need to get rid of everybody. But, like, Bruce, you probably could have convinced at this point, like, hey, you need to come with me. I think I can get, a couple others. Like, what are we doing? So
yeah, for sure. And I think, again, this is another funny thing Danielle says. I think she's like, God, Shane and Courtney hate each other, but I think Courtney has a massive crush on Shane.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
The sexual tension / hatred between the 2 of them is incredible. And also, this is where Shane says my favorite line of the season, which is, I'm going to kill you in your shitty apartment. And Courtney doesn't care about the fact that someone wants to murder her. She wants to make it clear that her apartment isn't shitty.
I know. It's the best. Like, that's just how crazy they are. Like, and then he starts screaming, don't take it so personally, which he's kind of right. Don't get so mad about the shitty apartment. It's the fact that, like, if she would have gotten mad, like, don't say you're going to kill me, that's one thing. But she's literally only mad about the shitty apartment. He's just like, don't take this so personally. Like, what's wrong with you? And he starts, I mean, he's screaming that, obviously.
But to be fair to Courtney, he also told her to not take that reward game personally, and that, at least for me, I'd have a hard time not taking that personally. If every single person is shitting on you, like, you're gonna be a little upset.
It's hard, but he is kind of right, and this is kind of like,
because she takes things like to the next level.
This is the whole Survivor thing, and I guess this is kind of what I was trying to say with the Aris thing. It's that whole line of don't take it personally, and because it's the game, you need to understand, like, there's always going to be the one, or there's going to, like, obviously with Courtney, I mean, everybody is just demolishing her. But you need to not take it personally, because you need to be like, okay, well, I need to do something to change because I need to be better. Instead, she goes and sulks, which is exactly what they're, like, pretty much telling her she sucks at.
Yeah, and then sings to her dying treadmill.
Yeah, which when Bruce is, like, dying words are no, please no.
Yeah, no, don't.
Oh, my God. Another thing I want to say before we go into comments. This is my last bit of Terry thing here. If Terry would have won this game, it would have been the most dominating individual game of all time. And I mean individual because this guy literally didn't have an alliance. His whole alliance was demolished, and he's by himself. Individually, this would have been the greatest game of all time because we already know he wins 5 immunities. He probably would have had to win the final 3 ones, so he would have won 6 immunities, found the idol, won the thing where you get to see your family on the videos, then wins the actual family reward, and we get to see his wife, who is more competitive than Terry, come out there, and Shane's like, what the hell? She was playing the game harder than Terry. And then he also wins the damn car. He also
doesn't play as idol.
He also doesn't play as idol. And he wins the car. It would have been the ultimate slap in the face to the Casaya 6 if he somehow won this game, and it would have been the most dominating win of all time. I seriously, individually, because there's been better games than what Terry played, obviously. But in terms of individually, it would be the most dominating game ever because of what he had to do on his own to get there and win this. And he would have literally gone home with a new car, 2 new cars, because you get a car when you win at this point still in the game. So he would have had 2 new cars. I think that was the thing. He would have had 2 new cars that he got to sleep with his wife, but he didn't do too much sleeping, as he said.
They cuddled, yeah, okay. He would have gotten, and then he still would have had the record for most immunity. It just would have been insane stuff. Yeah, and Danielle took it away from him.
That's it. Danielle took it away because she didn't realize she should have just voted out Aris. God. Anyway, because who knows? Courtney was probably crazy enough. She might have taken Terry to the final 2 with her, thinking that she could beat Terry had she beaten Danielle at that final immunity.
Probably. No, she probably would have done that. She would.
So crazy. Okay. Let's do comments now. Now that I got that out of my system, let's do.
You want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first with Ice X. Love the first reward challenge, especially when it's mostly one tribe. It's only a game that everyone takes so seriously. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's such a good one. I hope they bring it back.
Yeah, they're great.
Ice X again. Was there any doubt that Terry would win the car?
No. I mean, it's just, we're going to do an individual challenge and Terry's there. Yeah, he wins. It's over.
Yeah, like Terry's just going to stand there and the tiles are just going to shatter.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, is Terry's voting record is bad or worse than Eddie's or Jay's? Pretty sure it's the worst.
I actually think it is the worst. Eddie had 2 correct votes.
Well, Terry has more than that because when he's on Lamina, he was right every time.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So he was right on the Misty vote. He was right on the Ruth Marie vote. He was right on the Dan vote. But every single vote post-merge, he's wrong.
Damn.
Except for, I guess, when he votes for Suri, because technically she does end up going.
Oh, then that's not wrong. He just wasn't
he just still wasn't in control. He still had nothing going for him.
Yeah, but that's a vote. No, okay, he got that. So he's got 4.
Yeah. There you go. Gamer Girl, where was Jeff during Bruce's medevac? I don't know. I mean, how things have changed.
Yeah. Gamer Girl again. What's everyone's problem with Courtney? Does everyone take her seriously? I don't think they take her seriously. I think they just think she's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it. I think if anybody's not taken seriously on that tribe, it's her.
Yeah.
Giovanni, who's a better player, Judd or Shane? That's hard. I would say probably Shane. But I think Judd and Shane are both underrated because of how out there they are on their seasons. But I think
they're actually a pretty similar comparison.
Yeah, I think that both of them actually play good games that are just so loud that it gets overshadowed that they were actually playing good games. And, of course, they get blindsided by better players. Mm-hmm. So that also hurts their game. But I would say Shane gets a slight edge here, but it's not by much. And I think both of them are good players.
Yeah, I could be convinced either way. I think they're pretty similar.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, does HB remind anyone else of Sean Rector? He reminds me of Sean Rector because they're asking him to do stuff. He's like, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing this. I'm their little servant, and I don't want to be doing that. And he's so annoyed. And it reminds me of.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say his little comments are so great.
Oh, they're so funny. Him and Suri are perfect together. To be fair, that bucket of water was disgusting. Do you know what it looked like? We're going to make a Vanuatu reference here. It looks like that kava they make them drink in all the bad reward challenges.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting. That might be one of the worst awards of all time. Giovanni Oriana, was Shane imitating Jim Carrey's The Cable Guy when he said, "For one of you, the game will end tonight. Dun, dun, dun." Yeah, he was.
I guess so.
I guess so. But he was also making fun of Jeff, which I always think is funny.
And he ends up going home, which makes it even funnier. There's a lot of jokes in there.
I know. That's good. Yeah. A lot of good editing tricks.
Yeah.
Giovanni's. There's a good one. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
There's a good one when Bruce is groaning groans of despair, and they convert into Cerie's moans of pleasure when she's getting massaged. That was a very good trick.
That was great. And I like that Danielle took the guy because she thought he'd be better, and he just destroyed her.
He just beats her up. That's happened to me too. The first time I got a massage, it was a guy, and I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Giovanni Rihanna, the 3-2-1 is like a symphony because Suri was able to get her result with ease because Aris and Danielle were the targets. It's seriously is just one of the most crazy, insane little moves that unfortunately doesn't work out for Suri, but it's just crazy how she makes that happen.
It's really incredible.
Yeah.
Ice X. This is an example of what makes great seasons. A mix of social players, strategists, challenge beasts, lunatics, and Bruce.
Of course, Bruce.
Yeah, that's why I like this season. This is a 140 character wrap up of why I like this season.
Yeah, and the thing is with this season, and the thing is with these old seasons, once again, this comes back to like why I was so annoyed at the Suri thing with her crossing the beam, and it's like, what a great moment. Yay. Like, no, It's not. No, it isn't. Because look at the buildup we have of all these unique characters. They're all coming in with their own little things. And think about the character moment of Aris being so mad at Terry for not letting him get to see his mother. And the character moment we get of Terry, who's all about family, and he literally calls like the Lamina tribe his family at some point, picking people who he's like you would marry them or your son. Shane dropping to his knees because his son comes running out. These are all built up things. Danielle being so mad and having to turn around and work with Terry anyway, just to turn around and vote him out. The back and forth there, like these are character moments that are just so good. Shane losing his mind at the final 7 thing. Courtney losing her mind at the final 7 thing. Suri dying laughing. Like these are just things that you want to see. None of this is forced. Yeah, it's all going to be contrived by the challenges, by putting certain people on an island, but it's still authentic within these people. Whereas now we're not getting that. It's just so forced. It's not like Jay and Adam, I felt like was something that was authentic. These guys did it because they found out about the mom thing. They both had a connection there. This was authentic. What happened on Game Changers isn't authentic. Panama is a perfect example of authentic characters doing authentic things.
Yeah, the Jay and Adam thing's a really good point. And I think part of the reason why that was so popular is because right now we're in a time of strategy and idols, and to have just such a natural moment is really uncommon now. And it was really great. I wish we got more of that. And that's why I think I've really enjoyed watching Guatemala and Panama, because there's strategy here. It's not like high-end strategy. It's strategy, but there's still people sitting on an island. Mm-hmm. It's great. God.
No, I hear you. And
this is Survivor.
This is why you love Survivor. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like every element has worked except for like Redemption Island and that little stretch. But like all the elements that get thrown together, this just shows this is old school, this is new school. And I'm curious, after Survivor finally says it's like final goodbye, I'll probably watch it all in order again just to like see like how it grows and stuff. But I honestly am starting to think I might like old school Survivor. I always liked old school Survivor, and like me and Will would always have arguments because he'd be like, Samoa's a top 10 season. And I'd be like, you're the dumbest person ever.
Statement.
But I'd always have those arguments, but I really do think I prefer the old school. Mm-hmm. I find myself like every time I sit down to watch an episode of Panama, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to watch this episode of Panama. Whereas like when it's like, oh, got to sit down and rewatch, something from Blood versus Water, which is a season I really like, I'm just not as invested in the characters in a Blood versus Water as I am in Panama. Like I'm not as invested in the John Cody, Brad Culpepper. I mean, I love Sierra, but that is what it is. I mean, it's a very strange like mix that we get now. I guess Millennials vs. Gen X was different because I felt like it was an older school season, even though the whole internet will disagree with me, which you're all wrong. So I don't know. Maybe I think I just like old school more, and hopefully they figure out that we don't need 1,000 twists. You just need one.
Yeah. Welcome to the fan of old school. But like you said, I mean, you and I think we were texting Monday night. We were just like going at it, like talking about like what Terry said about Aris's mom and how competitive Terry's wife is. And we were like going back and forth disagreeing, but then we were both like, God, I love this show. Yeah. And I think when we were texting during Game Changers, we were saying the exact opposite. Like there was no just, man, I love this show because I just love the sociological impact it has on people, because that's not what this game has become.
Well, and also what's kind of happened, and this is why people don't like Michelle as a winner, the editing and everything we've started to see in the recent seasons, probably since Russell. It's really Russell is the first real time you see this. You're told who you're supposed to root for now.
Yeah.
Back in Panama, yeah, they're trying to tell you root for Terry, root for Terry, root for Terry, but you're rooting for Sari. Some people are rooting for Aris. People loved Shane. As crazy as he was just a joy to watch. They weren't telling you have to root for this is good and this is evil. Whereas like now on Game Changers, you're being told like this person's bad, this person's good. Or what's a better example? I mean, even Millennials versus Gen X, David is your hero. Adam is a hero because of, his mom thing plays a huge part in that. And then who's your villains? Look at Korong. Aubrey's your hero. Scott's your villain. Jason's your villain. And yeah, they played into that, but you're being told it so hard. And that's why when somebody like Michelle wins, it's like, what do you mean Michelle won? I wasn't told to root for her. Like Mike is a perfect example in Worlds Apart. He is not that likable of a player. And they ram him down your throat as the most likable thing of all time.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to piggyback off of that, notice how we're rewatching 3 episodes at a time rather than 1 episode. But we're not talking about confessional count. We're not talking about a hero edit or hero music or a hero moment, because those naturally happen. We're not saying, oh my God, Shane spoke 5 times and Sri spoke 3 times. Shane obviously is going home. We're not talking about that. And it's really refreshing to not have to analyze the edit. One thing I really can't stand about watching the show is that I now have to analyze the edit, but then it takes away the fun because I can just assume who the final 3 is, because I've been told Sarah's going to be a criminal since before this season even aired.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the big thing. That's my big issue now is like by them changing from Exile Island, which is just the name of an island, to Heroes versus Villains, Brawn versus Brain versus Beauty, Blood versus Water, which was obviously just the loved ones versus each other. But like by them doing this, it's now turned into Missy isn't, whatever her job is. Missy is Baylor's mom and Baylor is Missy's daughter. And that is now their storyline. Sarah is a cop who wants to play like a criminal. That's being brought in right away because she's trying to change the game. Like it's being rammed down your throat. Whereas like when you watch Panama, your hero is Terry for a lot of people because he's a Navy pilot, but that doesn't define him. It's what he's doing. It's like the way he handles himself. People seem to respect him. Dan is an astronaut. You're not being told Dan is a hero from the beginning. You're being told Dan's a hero in his boot episode. Shane is a villain who drops to his knees when his son comes running out. Mm-hmm. These are like the little things that are just so much more interesting to watch. Whereas now, Kyle's a bounty hunter. Scott's also covered in tattoos. Those are your bad guys. And the little blonde girl who is thrown on Brawn for literally no reason is going to be your underdog that you're supposed to root for. When in reality, she could have just been super annoying and gotten them out. I don't know what happened out there, but that could have been the case. But we're being told who we're supposed to be rooting for and who we're not supposed to be rooting for. One of the most popular players ever is Boston Rob. And in his first season, he's an absolute villain, but we're not told whether we should like him or not. And that's why so many people like him. Yeah,
you bring up a good point, Boston Rob, because I started. So when I started, I watched Heroes vs. Villains and I watched Redemption Island. So I had a very different Boston Rob experience from everyone else. And I was like, why does everyone hate him so much? Like, I really like him. And then when I got locked in my basement and had to watch 17 seasons of Survivor in 2 months, I watched Marquesas and I was like, this guy's a jerk. Like, but at the same time, we've seen Boston Rob 4 times and we all have different opinions on it. But you watch a different Boston Rob every time. And he's getting rammed down your throat in Redemption Island, but you're getting a different one. You're watching someone grow up. I mean, all we've talked about is how Aris has changed. And you get a 24-year-old Aris who ends up winning $1 million, but then you get a mature Aris who ends up losing. But you see a completely different person because, crazily enough, people grow up, people change in the how many years between Panama and Blood versus Water. And that's what I do like about returning seasons, when you can see people evolve, you can see players evolve. But at the same time, how many Shanes and Judds am I missing out on? But because we're bringing back all these people.
Yeah, and here's another point, and we are so off topic now, but I just want to say this with Boston Rob. Here's a great point in terms of how the editing has changed. Boston Rob plays on his Marquesas season where you're not told whether you should like him or not. Plays on All Stars where he's clearly a villain. He's horrible in that season. He's terrible to everybody. And then he doesn't play again until after Russell's first season. He comes out, and what are you instantly told about Boston Rob, who's on the Villains tribe, known as the Rob Father, who is seriously one of the biggest villains the show has ever seen? Instantly, you're told you should root for Boston Rob.
Well, he did. He collapsed in the jungle.
Yes,
almost couldn't handle it.
You're instantly told that he's the good over Russell's evil. Mm-hmm. That is the problem with how this show has been edited recently. Because you're instantly told you should root for Boston Rob, and that's why when Redemption Island comes out, you're like, man, I hope he beats Russell. That's what I want. And then he beats Russell because him and Russell are never even on an island together. And what ends up happening is you're sitting there being told, look how good Rob is. He's no longer this villain. Rob still does some pretty villainous stuff on Redemption Island, but you're told you're supposed to like him now. The most interesting Boston Rob, to me, is All-Stars Boston Rob. I don't like All-Stars. He pissed me off that whole season, but he plays a great, vicious game, and that's the most interesting Boston Rob because you don't know whether you should love him or hate him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, and that's, I guess, Samoa is our point. Like we said, it's the point where the edit tells you, well, Samoa is fascinating because it tells you who's doing what, but you don't
and
like
boots
him.
Yeah, and then they don't win, but you're told to root for them.
Yeah, and the winner gets shafted because she played a game and no one knows about it.
Yeah. So there's your old school versus new school. That got very, very deep there.
Yeah, that was good though. That was good. I hope people listened.
Hopefully we get more than 12 people here. Yeah, well, that's what we get for doing it at the same time as Big Brother. Yeah. Anyway.
Moving on.
Ice X, has there ever been a player who thoroughly enjoyed playing Survivor more than Suri? You got to love her laugh. She is definitely up there as one of the people who enjoyed her time the most.
Yeah, she had I feel like every time she's had a pretty darn good time.
She's always dying. I mean, the only time she probably didn't have a good time was Heroes vs. Villains because she had no shot.
Yeah, I was reading something on Reddit the other day about, like, Tom and Suri are two people like booted early in Heroes vs. Villains. If those people were on the Heroes tribe, they don't have that epic. If those people, if they last longer than they do, that Heroes tribe doesn't have the epic collapse that it does. I mean, you're voting out.
James is the reason that tribe fell apart.
Yeah, James is awful.
I love James. I love James.
I love him to pieces.
Yeah, I love
but
James.
Not in that season, I don't.
As much as Stephanie is what Stephanie is, I love that he pretty much just shuts Stephanie down in that season because she is, when she gets voted out and she turns around and gives them advice and he goes, why don't you shut your damn mouth? It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and that's the Heroes tribe. Them keeping James over Tom is one of the stupidest moves that is like ever happened because they got rid of a guy who couldn't even walk to keep around Tom, they got rid of a guy. They got rid of Tom to keep around a guy who couldn't even walk that they had to get rid of anyway. It's a complete waste. You could have ended up getting rid of Colby, and then you have Tom coming in, who is a much more likable guy than Colby, and Tom is also much more reasonable than Colby, at least on that season, where he could have been like, "Hey Rupert, maybe we should side with Sandra. Hey JT, maybe you shouldn't give your idol to Russell."
Yeah.
Colby wasn't thinking like that. Colby was all about it. Colby's like, hey, man, we got this for you. So, yeah.
Tom and Suri would never have let him send that.
Tom and Suri. God, amazing.
The best alliance that never was.
Exactly. We got Gamer Girl, who's a better choice for Terry if he ends up on Blood versus Water, Trish or Danny. I mean, obviously it would be Trish because Danny couldn't play, but I heard that there was like a rumor that it was Danny and Terry who were kind of in consideration.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. I would say Trish because, like, she's more competitive than him.
Trish should be a fantastic player. Or maybe not even a fantastic player. She'd be a great character.
Yeah, I'd like to watch her. Like, she could maybe beat Terry to challenge.
Yeah, and it seems like she gets the social game a lot better than he does.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, for a show that's always like, oh, there's so many more interesting male characters than female, Trish would have been a perfect example of a female character who would have been sick. She would have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, she was a family visit, and, like, we're talking about her more than we've talked about.
Because Shane's sitting over there going, oh my God, what a lovely woman, but geez.
Yeah, but she's playing this game.
Yeah, she's playing for Terry at that point.
Yeah. There was one you skipped over, but I just think it's kind of funny. Giovanni said, do you like how Danielle pronounces Aris's name? I think every single person has said every single combination of the letters ARAS over this period of time.
Aris, or Os.
Oris, which is Terry's.
Yeah.
We have a rolled R. Someone rolled an R.
Yeah. Probably just not telling anybody how to do it.
Yeah.
Having a good time with it. Larry Miller, does Courtney still have a crush on Shane? Probably. They probably.
Definitely.
Probably.
Actually, did I say that I creeped on Courtney and I found that she was married?
Yeah, you did.
Still has a crush on Shane, though.
Definitely. And then last one on Twitter, Larry Miller, is James Clement, the stand-up comic of Survivor. He's hilarious. James is
pretty darn funny.
Incredible. I could watch him just mouth off to people all day. I was actually thinking about the other day, speaking of like Aris and like the things that he got away with, James, who probably goes to the end and probably has a legitimate chance to win because he's so likable. James literally stands over his shelter, his tribe, and screams, "Good morning, good morning." Like I was thinking about that like the other day, and I was like, that's like a hero. Like he's waking them up in the most obnoxious way, and like that's not the reason he went home. Like that type of stuff just always blows my mind. But anyway,
see that I think is funny. It's like I don't love
not to the people who are sleeping.
No, that's true. But like, I would rather, as like a player, I'd rather he do that than like be the bully that he was in Heroes vs. Villains. I really didn't like Heroes vs. Villains, James. He like went a little too far for me.
He goes very far. But him and Stephanie, this goes back to kind of like my. This was like a good that they didn't tell you who to root for here because I don't think there was somebody to root for. This reminds me a lot of like Alicia versus Jason and Alicia versus Scott because I think that they were both super annoyed by each other and they both just let it out at all times.
Yeah, no, and that's totally fine. I just really am not going to enjoy watching like him speak to someone like that. Even and if she spoke to him the same way, like I feel the exact same.
She kind of talks down to him.
Yeah,
they're my favorite. Banana etiquette. Best thing ever.
Love banana etiquette.
Okay. Giovanni, Casaya is to me is Oolong if Oolong was the dominant tribe. Also, Terry is as if Tom was on Oolong. It's so fun. That's a good point because this tribe is just so dysfunctional like Oolong was. Better personalities maybe, but just all over.
But Tom may have found a way in because Tom is that good.
He might have. But you do see, like, Tom a lot is getting a lot of heat in Palau post-merge. There are people who are trying to get rid of him. And, like, what's he beat Katie by at the end? 5-2? Is it 5-2 or is it 6-1? I forget what it is. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But, yeah, I wish we could have seen Tom play, again, maybe not on Heroes vs. Villains. I mean, Heroes vs. Villains, I don't have a problem. But, like, Heroes vs. Villains is a great season. I do think that there was some we know each other. So we're going to work together. James and Amanda, that type of thing.
Well, I heard Tom went out of his way to like not make pregame alliances.
Yeah, and that's what hurts him.
Yeah.
Because the only one he knew was Stephanie, and everybody couldn't stand Stephanie, so it screws him right off the bat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at a point where I don't want a winner to come back unless it's an all-winner season.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And Tom is like one of my top choices to have come back.
Yeah, I'm not going to be pumped about them bringing a winner back because I know they're going to be gone within a week.
Yeah.
Giovanni Orion again. I'm amazed that Sri gets to the motorcycle. Amazed that Sri gets to the final four after the last of her original tribe mates was voted out on day 11.
That's part of her speech at the end.
She integrated, yeah.
That would have been one of her speeches.
I know.
Got Gamer Girl. I don't dislike Aris, but I don't like him either. He's probably going to be moved to the category of mixed. I really liked him in Blood vs. Water. It was mainly the Austin episode I didn't like him in. He's okay in the other episodes. It's also because he's so mean to Lamina. Also, it's seeming like he's the leader in a follow the leader season, which I know he's not. You know how I feel about those follow the leader seasons. But nobody's following him. Throughout, they're trying to boot him.
He's not even trying to lead them. He's just trying to make sure that no one kills each other.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Arcs 13, no Phil. It wasn't until season 25 that we got crazy people because season 21 had a lot of invisible people. 22, 23, and 24 had people that didn't know how to play. Also, it was Coach that voted out Brendan, not JT in his game. Coach and Brendan had a rivalry.
Arcs.
That was like 6 days ago. No, let's prove him wrong. Let's do it right here.
Oh, no, I'm ready. Because I saw this comment, and Args is another one who all of a sudden, kind of like Gio, he's starting to feel it a little bit. He's starting to be like, you know what? I can swing with the big boys, and that's fine. I'm all for it. You can question
We're about to knock you off your pivot.
But if you're going to tell me that it wasn't until season 25 that we got crazy people, I want you to tell me what Philip Shepard is. I want you to tell me what Brandon Hance is. I want you to... What?
Are we doing crazy? Let's do a list.
Well, I'm just talking about 21, 22, and 23. He's saying there were no crazy people. So I'm just going to 21, 22, and 23. Or he's saying, yeah, so I'm just going to those. I'm not even going all the way back to Judge Shane, who we're watching now. I'm just saying these little seasons because I forget what the argument is, so let's keep it to what he has. 24, you have Tarzan, totally crazy person. Alicia, totally crazy person. You have who?
Colton,
totally crazy person. In 21, you have like Nyanka. I'm sorry. No. You're right. Nyanka's not crazy. It wasn't until season 25 we saw crazy. You're right. That's the first time we saw it.
Yeah, the person who shoves a woman without a leg is definitely sick.
And then like yells at her about how she'd shove her again. She's not crazy. She's totally normal. She's fine. Anyway. And then on top of that, it was Coach that voted out Brendan. Yes, JT, Steven, and Taj made it seem like it was Coach's idea. Coach needed them, and he made them the wizard and whatever, and they just went along with it. That was JT and Steven and everything just being like, oh, we found an opportunity. Here we go. They got rid of somebody they wanted.
One person is not going to vote out someone. You need multiple people to vote someone out.
Okay. I feel better now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's been like super aggressive in his answers, and they're like accusatory.
Oh, so Args is actually a she.
Oh, sorry,
Second of all, I'm just really crazy. There you go. Okay, I got you. Hey, you know what?
Season 37, Args 13 comes on.
You know what? I like Args 13. I don't dislike him. I just gotta prove her wrong when this happened. It had to happen. And when I see those comments, like you said, it was accusatory. Like, Phil, you're wrong. And I'm like,
yeah, that's the thing. Phil and I definitely say things that are incorrect. And also, if you notice, half the time we're like, I don't know, how many votes did Tom get to win?
Yeah, like, I don't remember
We like your help on that, but it's just when you guys are like, no, you guys are stupid. How could you not remember this whole thing? We're like, okay, sorry.
Or when you're saying a stretch of Nyanka, Philip Shepard, Brandon Hance, and Tarzan isn't crazy.
Yeah, and we're the crazy ones.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway.
Also, I'm realizing I thought Args 13 was a guy because
it's a girl.
It's Hayden.
It's Hayden, but I'm looking at the thing.
Args, I'm looking at it. Yeah, Args is a girl. So sorry. We apologize for that.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. I feel good. All right, so we're gonna move on to
another one.
Yeah, do we just keep doing this? I mean, now it's game.
No, let's do it.
I don't know what's going on.
No, let's do it. We're gonna do it.
I don't get what's going on here. So it's Gio, Args, and Gamer Girl, our three biggest fans who keep listening to us in the offseason. I love you all to death. But Gamer Girl, Phil, Shane, and Kyle Jason are nothing alike. Yes, they're both villains, but they're not the same type of villains. They don't belong in the same villain boat. Shane and Kyle Jason aren't anything like Russell Hantz either. They don't belong in the same villain boat. Also, the only thing that Sally, Aaron, and Sierra Rita have in common is that they're all forgotten and hardcore fans find them hot. Other than that, they're nothing alike.
That's not true. They all like went without an alliance.
They all went without an alliance and made it further as the girl than they should have. They were all underdogs. Sierra's an underdog from day one. Sally's an underdog from the second Misty goes home. Erin's an underdog, and she somehow ends up being the last standing Timbira member who almost breaks up JT and Steven.
Erin's an underdog who makes it to the final three.
Yeah. Yeah, and nobody liked her. Nobody liked her on Timbira, and she's the last one left. Shane and Kyle, we talked about so much. They are so similar. They are villains on a season who can't stop talking down to certain people, but all they care about is getting home to their family and doing this for their child or whatever it is. They're very, very similar in terms of their villainy. Neither of them are bad people. They're just both aggressive people who handled it poorly on the island. And really, I think both of them are well-liked by the cast they played with. Are they like Russell? Not really, but
that's what I was about to say. They're not at all like Russell. Because Russell was hated by all of his tribe mates. He wasn't respected by anyone who we played with. I'm so jazzed up.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good.
It does feel good. I know. I
hope you're all okay, but it just
I'm gonna watch our following just vastly.
Yeah, the 480 views we got on the last video, they're all gone because we
488. What's gonna happen? All right, Gamer Trail. All right, we can't promise that we're done, but for right now we are.
Yeah.
DVDs and Blu-rays are hard. I prefer to watch any. Why are we talking about this?
Oh, she was just talking about the DVD. That's cool. Jump to Args. Oh. It's cool.
Okay. Args 13, they didn't want to store the firewood in the outhouse. They wanted to use the outhouse as firewood, like take it apart and put it in the fire.
That would be interesting. Oh. I don't know if that was their actual intention. They might have wanted to do that down the line. I'm pretty sure at first they were just trying to do it to store the wood, but maybe they were, and maybe I just missed that. Because that would make more sense why you don't want a Dookie in there.
Yeah. Great word.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'm going to skip Arg's next one.
Yeah.
Because, you know what, Args, we're in this together now.
Yeah.
I got it out.
I read that. I think we've done it. We don't want to keep hitting.
I got it out of my system. The Real Negro. Not a fan of Suri. I think she's overrated. Panama, she did nothing for me. And in FVF, saw her as a baby, didn't get away with it. When Ozzy wanted Eliza out, Heroes vs. Villains, she did nothing. Game Changer, she really didn't do anything great. She just would have won on a nice job on 4 tries vote. And I don't like when she says she got screwed by the final 2 twist because Ozzy was screwed by the final 3 in Cook Islands, and no one says anything about that.
I appreciate the Real Negro for putting a highly unpopular opinion on the internet. Like, I will give you that.
As Boosh Bear says, this is the most blasphemous, disgusting post I've ever seen. You are so misguided and so rude. Delete this rat. Not even
There's
rant.
the internet coming out.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean,
that's not a rat. Come on now.
Panama, Suri for me, I like her at the beginning. She goes away, and then I like her again towards the end. Fans versus favorites, I disagree. I think that is like one of the best games ever. Ozzy does get screwed by a final 3, for sure.
Suri. And
so does Suri. They both do.
You said
No. Ozzy gets screwed by the final 3 too, because by it being a final 3, he has to sit there against Yule, and he would have dominated against Becky.
Oh, I thought you meant fans versus favorites. I was like that.
No. Well, I mean, that didn't matter.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I'm gonna follow up with the Real Negro again, like holding your own, because Boosh Bear was super aggressive to you. So don't agree with anything you said, but
Boosh Bear is super aggressive.
Boosh Bear, oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Sealy 11395. Alexa, glad to know we are kindred spirits and that we both cry in the family visit episodes. I'm a wreck every single freaking time.
Yeah. The Shane one's pretty brutal.
The Shane one, oh yeah, that one gets you.
It's pretty rough. Ryan Chen, Exile Island had a pretty good me-season recap. One scene was a conflict between Danielle and Bob Dog. Danielle felt Bob Dog was lazy and ordered him to tend the fire. Bob Dog trolled Danielle by pretending he didn't know how to tend the fire. Danielle would actually teach him how to lay sticks into the fire. The best was Suri watching the whole thing unfold and giggling in the background. Oh my God. See, this is like the Bob Dog stuff.
You should watch those.
Oh my God. Bob Dog was a character that we didn't see enough of. And like, I get like why he has such a following. That guy, he is just a troll. He trolls them the entire time, and that's why he goes home.
He's so funny. Maybe we should watch those mid-season recaps, because I know like they were never good live, but especially now when all we do is like want to know the relationships more.
Yeah,
that's an hour's worth of it. And if it's that, like I totally want to watch them.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we should have.
Yeah. Ryan Chan again. Phil and Alexa, you guys should watch and do commentary on Australian Survivor in the off-season. The first 3 episodes just aired last week. Last season in 2016 was a good season. It's been alongside their 24 contestants thinking lasts for 55 days. Wow. How much weight do you think they lose? I knew it was long. I did not know it was that much longer.
Yeah, it's really long. And then Ice X follows it up by saying that 55 days, I feel that Americans are wusses compared to the Aussies.
Probably.
Yeah, those people are probably starving. I mean, I'll probably watch those one day. It's just like right now. It's hard for me to do. It's hard for me to find it. And then, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm super lazy. Like, it's not on my CBS All Access, so I'm not probably going to watch it right now. If anyone has, like, a link that they can recommend, I'll check it out. I'm the same way as you, Phil. Like, I'm sure I'm going to watch it at some point, but I'm in the middle of, like, rewatching 2 seasons, so I don't know if any third one's going to help.
We have Ice X. I'm sorry, but I don't think you can call anyone who lasted 121 days, finished Final 4 twice, plus a Final 6 overrated. She's great in confessionals, so damn likable. I'll always be a fan. Takes combo of challenge beast, social player, strategist, and oddballs to make a great season. And people do say all the time that Ozzy was screwed in Cook Islands all the time. So this is actually him responding to the Real Negro.
The Real Negro, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, that's also a pretty. I think that you can say Suri. You can say Suri's overrated because of how high people rate her. It's like the same thing. Anytime a movie wins Best Picture, everybody says, "Oh, it's overrated." Well, yeah, because it won. If it didn't win, you wouldn't say anything about it. You know, Crash is the most overrated movie ever because it won Best Picture. If Crash loses, nobody says anything about Crash. You know. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, let's say Suri, like, let's rate Suri as a 9 player. If we call her a 12, we're technically overrating her, but that doesn't mean she's a 2. It means we're just putting her higher than she is. Yeah,
exactly. And you know what? Like, we all overrate people. I probably overrate Terry. I definitely overrate Dan. I overrate Savage. Like, these are my men.
Yes.
I can't help myself.
Fun fact, Phil and Alexa exaggerate.
Yeah. but not too much. Not when we have to defend ourselves.
No. Jake Roush, I definitely pronounced that wrong. I'm very sorry. Shane was considered for season 16, 20, 23, 27, and 31. He turned out 16, was cut the night before season 20 left. Wow, I did not know that. And season 23 was originally Fans vs. Favorites. Was he really cut the night before season 20?
I don't feel like it was the night before because I think Russell replaced him. I think that was known. Yeah,
and there was a couple of weeks in between at the very least.
Yeah, I think there was more time there. 16, I know he got turned down. 23, yeah, I knew that was originly supposed to be a Fans vs. Favorites. God, that would have been so much better than what the disaster it was.
Yeah, and 31, we all know what happened there.
Yeah, exactly. He got hosed.
Hosed.
Vladimir Lokaj, sorry to see Bruce go out the way he did. He deserves a lot of respect. He was almost 60 years old, physically fit guy with great survival skills. Still, I think he's boring, no strategy player. Me remains memorable, mostly for having painted the most beautiful merge tribe flag ever. Degrades all other flags to baby drawings at best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bruce. I agree he doesn't have much strategy, but he was out there more for the experience.
Yeah.
And you got to respect what he was doing.
For sure. Giovanni Oriana, here's a quote-unquote fun story about Courtney Merritt at the 10-year anniversary party. Apparently she sat on Rob Sesternino's lap and got into an argument with Jerry and was thrown up by security. No wonder she was hated during Panama.
I mean, I would like to know if that's true before we judge her.
Yeah, I was about to say, I would really love a source on that.
What's the best thing she did there, though? Sat on Rob Sesternino's lap. What? Why? Rob's, a perfectly cool guy, but, you got to sit on anybody's lap. Is that the first person you're picking?
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
Anyway. Gamer Girl, is Bruce Medevac down there with Shamar's and FBI Joe's? Not Joe Dowdle, even though his was pretty forgettable. Is one of the worst Medevacs? I don't think so because this is such a unique Medevac.
Yeah, it all depends on what you mean by best and worst, but this is one of the most memorable Medevacs, no question.
Yeah, I think so for sure. We get to see Naked Shane running around.
Hell yeah. Gamer Girl, during Guatemala, Jeff was saying one of his favorite phrases, dig deep a lot, but in Panama, he's not saying that much. What happened? Probably because he knew that no matter how much he encouraged everyone else, Terry was still going to win.
And really, Courtney gave Terry a run for his money in that one challenge. He was hurting. She really had him.
Yeah, she had him.
Yeah. Let's see here. What do we got? We got Args13. Who was the guy checking out Bruce for his medevac? It wasn't Dr. Joe or Dr. Morona, but he was a little cute. I don't know who that was. I never seen him before.
It wasn't Dr. Joe. I don't know. But he was cute. I'll give him that. He was Australian.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Ethan Hazel. I just did a first watch of Worlds Apart. And I have to say, why do people like Sierra come back? No hate towards her for Game Changers, but not someone like Jen, Carolyn, or even so. Oh, man. I thought we were done with the why is Sierra coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it happened.
Ethan Hazel, I've been watching your podcast for months now. Whenever I watch Survivor, all I focus on is the edit. You're welcome. We will ruin you.
And we hope that you listened to about 20 minutes ago when Phil and I had a really great conversation about how Survivor's evolved. I don't want to see the evolution of Survivor because maybe that's trademarks now. But I really encourage you to listen to that because Phil and I have talked about how there is so much more to Survivor than just the edit if you watch the earlier seasons.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because Arish, it all made sense for Arish to go at Final Six. It really did. The way it was edited, everything, it made sense for Arish to go at Final Six, Terry to go on to Final Three, beat Courtney and Danielle in the Final Immunity Challenge and win. It really does. That's the way the edit shaped up.
Yeah, totally.
What are you laughing
at? Nothing.
Gamer Girl, Arish is redeeming himself a little for me now. I still don't like that he seems like an over-the-top edit and that it seems like almost everyone's under his spell, but he's not as bad as he was at the beginning of the merge. He's still going in the mixed category, though.
Yeah, feel that. Giovanni Oriana, with voting out Courtney, Suri appears to be a GOAT without actually being a GOAT, when in reality she's the person who will win if she gets the end. She beats Aris, Danielle, Terry, and Shane. Yep. That's exactly what we said.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Bean Rowe. Hey, guys, I just wanted to say I love your podcast. Kind of got addicted to Survivor, and some months ago started watching some of the podcasts about it. Stayed with yours. Keep up great work. P.S. Watching live from Germany at 5 a.m. That's intense.
Oh, man. That is some serious commitment. Thank you for watching.
That's crazy. What part of Germany are you in? Another question.
And also, hopefully, we will keep a positive relationship with you and won't yell at you when you make a comment that we don't agree with.
Exactly. Ours is already in here, so we're going to have to read that one again. But go ahead.
Say, new fans, don't be afraid of us, I promise.
Yeah, no, it just happens every now and then.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, this is a good one. Giovanni Oriana, the room where Terry and his wife made love. Giovanni, they cuddled. This is a G-rated podcast. That is where Rob Cesternino and Big Tom were before All Stars started.
What?
Again, I would like to see a source on that because that is kind of interesting.
What though? What were they there for?
Why were they there? All Stars wasn't filmed in Panama, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was filmed in Borneo.
Okay. Yeah, Gio, we're gonna need some.
Yeah.
We're gonna need some citations.
Ethan Hazel, would you consider what Jen did in Worlds Apart as quitting? I can never see Jen doing anything wrong, so no, absolutely not. But I really don't think it's a quit because she didn't actually quit. She definitely didn't want to be there anymore, but I also don't think she had a move left, so I don't consider it quitting.
Yeah.
Go
Right,
ahead,
Args,
Alexa, you want to read this out to me?
the Args one?
Yeah. It's the last comment.
Args 13. Phil, first of all, I'm a shade. Yes, we're sorry about that.
Yeah.
Second of all, calm down. Phil, calm down. Third of all, I need a token cheese rewatch and finally try to block season 21 through 24 from my memory. I'm just crazy. Also, I have a picture of Hayden as my picture because I have a crush on him. I could change it to my favorite girl contestant. No, please keep it as Hayden because I love
Yeah, that's fine.
Beautiful face whenever you comment.
The only reason I assumed that you were a guy is because you had the picture of Hayden, and your name is very hard to figure out what it is, so fine. You're she. I apologize. My whole thing here, this is my whole problem, with the internet in general, is you just said to us that you need to rewatch Token Chains and you want to block 21 and 24 from memory. Then you say, but you don't say down here, like, you don't actually come out and say, like, Phil, I don't believe it was until 25 that we got crazy people. 21 had Invisible, 22 and 23, they weren't crazy. You say, like, no, Phil, it wasn't till season 25. You're saying this as a fact. So that's why I was like, no, I got to tell you you're wrong here. And maybe you haven't watched it in a while and you tried to block from memory. That's fine, but, like, it's just when you were like, Phil, you're wrong, I got to defend myself. And
that's the only time when Phil and I get upset. I remember the first, like, formal time I podcasted, I was super nervous.
Died.
I was freaking out because I was like, wow, all these internet people are going to tell me that I'm dumb. And they did. And look, I survived. But I remember the first thing I said, Debbie made a sassy comment after Jeff threw her the flint. And someone commented and said, like, along the lines of, like, no, Alexa, you are wrong. How could you possibly not know that it was Sandra who made the sassy comment? I know that Sandra made that comment, but my conversation was about the fact that Debbie did it. So Phil and I, like, we won't say everything completely correctly, even though we think we do, but that doesn't mean that we're just outwardly wrong.
You can call me out if I am outwardly wrong. If I come out and
if we're wrong, if we're saying something super confident and we're wrong, tell us. But if, like, on the whole, what we say is usually relatively correct, and instead of just saying you are wrong and us sitting here 1 week later being like, I don't even remember what I said, tell us why we're wrong and tell us what you think. And then look, we came to an agreement, like adults.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Like, I get it. You can say, like, you might not believe that there were crazy people, but, like, it's Brandon Hance, man. I mean, you can't tell me Brandon Hance isn't crazy or Nayanka isn't crazy. Like, that's all. That's all. So when I get that type of stuff, I have to respond heatedly because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be somewhat entertaining, right? Which,
yeah, I think we're pretty entertaining. And also, Args 13, I'm looking at you in the live chat now. I promise we're not berating you. Like, we're just heated and it's late. But so your name is an acronym of your favorite shows. The S is for Survivor. Should we guess what the A, R, and G are?
I would say Amazing Race.
Oh, you think AR is Amazing Race?
I think so.
G, what's a G show?
But I don't know what the G is.
Grrr.
I would say like Game of
Grey's
Thrones, but
Anatomy.
if the AR is Amazing Race.
Oh, Grey's Anatomy would be, yeah.
Yeah. We'll get an answer one time. Anyway. Someday. I'm sure we'll get this eventually. But moving on, that's it. We're done. Next time, next Wednesday, it's going to be the finale. We're going to finish Panama, and then hopefully the week after that, we'll actually get a cast announcement or something, which everybody already knows the cast, but we wait till we actually get the official cast announcement before we start breaking down the cast and everything. So hopefully we'll get that the week after, and we'll be able to keep rolling with this week after week after week. So watch these last 3 episodes. Enjoy it because it's pretty fun. It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty awful. It's all those things. It's great. I love these. I really do. I really like Panama. It's just, it's the same thing as Samoa. Like, it always just puts a bad taste in my mouth at the end. And that's all it is. But we'll watch this and we'll talk about it, and I'll cry about how much I love Terry and how I wish we could see him play again and how everything sucks in the world and how it's all bad. But alas,
where we just go on a rant about how we like old school Survivor, and we're probably about to watch a season with even more twists than one we already got, just with new people instead of our favorite characters who get voted out within the first 2 weeks. But Phil and Alexa are pumped about it. We are so excited for the new season. But right now we're going to finish watching Panama. So in the meantime, leave a comment on this video about why Phil and I are wrong, but give us a reason as to why we're wrong, because we're going to try to improve the internet. Phil and Alexa, Survivor Specialists, are going to try to change the internet. It's going to be our new tagline. Tweet at us at Survivor Specialists. Listen to us on YouTube. And yeah, rewatch the ending of Panama this weekend, and we will be back with you guys next Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern.
See ya. Oh wait, I gotta actually click it. I don't have it.
Okay.
Bye.